some like interstitial music for like 80s music for 80s movies that is like solid gold.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I found too, like there's so many, because I was born in 1990, so there's so many just like music that I am like completely unaware of until it's like I discover it later, like sitcom, or not even sitcom, but just like TV intros in general. Like there's so much like really cool music that was, this is just for this TV show, this is the intro, and it will just like go so hard to like, why there are obviously contemporary shows that have very good music too, but it's just like, it's really interesting to think about that kind of process of this song was made specifically for this television show, and it was the intro or outro.
Right. Something you should check out that you might really like is like all the music, but the theme song to White Sands is so good.
Oh, definitely. I've got to write that down right now.
Yeah, I can think of a couple things, but that one in particular is like, that music is great. And also The Secret to My Success, that soundtrack is so good. The Michael J. Fox movie, The Secret to My Success.
Writing that one down as well.
So good. Yeah, someone's got to glitch that one up.
So are you you mentioned kind of your movie record collecting. Do you still collect records in general?
I do. I've slowed down a lot. I basically only buy dub records, like dub ambient records that I can't say no to. Yeah. And a little bit of outside of that too. So.
Yeah, I've been getting really into well, it's funny, I feel like this happens to everyone I've talked to who collects VHS, is that you go through a stage of just buying anything and everything that you can find on VHS, and then it's like you realize just how much stuff you have and narrow it down. But as far as music goes, it's like I've got a few records, not a huge collection at all, but I've definitely been getting into getting more and more cassettes, because I started getting cassettes to make vaporwave with, and then just having a tape deck, it's really nice to throw on a cassette. It's simpler than the whole process of throwing on a record, but it's the same kind of philosophy of like, no, you have to, well, I guess you can start it and stop it, but you like, it's not like you can just skip to your favorite song like with streaming or files. It's it's meant to listen to the full album, which I think is always interesting.
Yeah, I love that part around physical media and cassettes in particular. I pretty much only listen to albums. But yeah, it's so cool to hear about your like compositions with vaporwave. Like it's like such a rich like tape music, and like time stretching is actually used to be time stretching in particular used to be like how I made music. And even before vaporwave started, maybe around the same time, I'm trying to think. No, it was like 2005 or 2006. Sorry, in the early 2000s, I was making music with Live 1.0, and the time stretch algorithms in the software were brand new, and they created so many artifacts from sound. I actually created a whole album that was based on like time stretching and finding things, in recorded sound. And I lost that album for 15 years, and I just got it back.
You just found it?
I've been only one. My friend James is the only person who kept it. So I had lost a bunch of stuff in a move, and I lost a drive with all my music. So I lost all my music several different times in my life. But he had the last CD, and he found it at his mom's house, and he sent it to me. I'll send it to you. Yeah, it was by a different artist. Yeah.
That's amazing. You definitely gotta. You should throw that back up on Bandcamp or something if you
Yeah,
if
I
you're
don't. I
interested.
would just be like a solo. Yeah, I should do that. I'll send it to you first. But
That's such a
I
cool piece of just like your own kind of artistic history too, because I know I've definitely just with visual art, stuff definitely gets lost in moves. You kind of get sick of something, sell something off. That stuff happens like all the time, and I feel like we think of art just as non-artists. We think of art as like, oh well, like museums have like everything Van Gogh has ever done, like obviously, which is of course not the case. But and
yeah
then it gets so different and stranger when we add this like digital element in. It's like art is not eternal, and that's very cool that you were able to save that, because that could have just been very much lost to the ether.
yeah and there's a few songs in there that are like have a lot of meaning for me. I've fully lost the album that came after that, which was I have it on VHS. The album after that was performed at the San Jose Art Museum to an audience of 2, for which I forced them to do a live improvisational like puppet show, which I like recorded and glitched out on a screen and like performed to, and I have that on VHS. So
That's
actually,
amazing.
I still have the VHS. But about it's so interesting, like as an artist, and especially when I got back into making electronic music, I came like from a place of being so judgmental about my work, and I made a conscious decision to kind of post everything, and it's been like such an amazing experience to post something on Instagram or wherever, and and this is for the past 3 years, and hate it, and then come back to it and either like it or like love it, and it's really softened that like sense of judgment as an artist, and been this like really valuable kind of tool. And so I recommend that people do it to some degree. And I gotten a ton out of it.
Yeah, I feel the same way absolutely with especially because you're always going to be your own harshest critic too, unless you just have some bully who's constantly hating on your work. You're always going to be your own harshest critic, and so it is very much like the same kind of thing of thinking, well, if you don't like a musician or band or album, then the kind of thinking of like, well, maybe 1, it wasn't made for you, or 2, it's like it's not right for you in this time. And so I think it's interesting to kind of take that same perspective and apply it to your own art of like, maybe I don't like this album right now, but yeah, then coming back to it later and having it grow on you is really cool and really interesting, because then it does kind of I know for me personally, it's like one of just creating art in general, even if I don't like it starting out, it's very much of just like fulfilling the kind of existential need for me to just like, as a creator, to make art. Like I need to make something, and then it's putting out as much as possible. It's very much because it's like you're building those skills so that when people get perfectionists about stuff, that's where they run into the most issues, because it's like nothing's going to be perfect. So just like keep creating, and then like we talked about earlier about like curating, that's where that comes into play later, of like you developing your own style, but then also your own taste, and seeing what you like and working with it.
And that I think like acting from a place that's like immediate and innocent, and like being willing to make mistakes the stuff that comes out ends up like defining your style, and maybe even like it's like in jazz, like the mistakes end up kind of crafting your taste and style in a way that like nothing else can.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like some of the most, and like I think some of the things that I've done that like feel broken in a way, or like honestly, like there's mistakes in the music. I don't know, they like, I guess they kind of stand as like being kind of this like breakthrough in a way. I don't know, I think there's a lot in terms of like process based media. It just, I don't know, it feels like we're in a really rich space for it right now, like especially with like digital technology, and there's so much to be discovered. And I don't know, I'm having a good time with it, so
Yeah, it's interesting too, you mentioned those mistakes too, because that's one thing where it's like when I run into mistakes, I have to remind myself that it's like, no, I'm making glitch art. Like it's inherently, the art is itself a mistake. That's what defines it as a glitch. So sometimes if I do something that, like when I rewatch a video where it's like, oh, it's like I didn't have, the camera zoomed in enough, you can see part of the TV or this or that. It's
I've noticed, actually, like I've noticed in a couple of your videos where you can see the TV,
see the corner of the
and I think it adds a dimension to it, like
maybe for this episode too, it's like when I'm filming off the TV, I can zoom out a little bit more and to kind of capture that aesthetic.
Yeah, but then there's the things like I did a show a long time ago where sometimes in audio there's like a sound that you can never turn down, and I know I had turned it down like hundreds of times, but I was doing a performance that overall went like really well, but I played a sound that was like the loudest sound I'd ever heard through this massive speaker system, and you could see people like the shock in their eyes, and it was this huge mistake, and I was super nervous about it, but it ended up like there was this like ambient song that kind of came in afterward, and for the people that were at the show, like they remember that moment more than anything else, and it's like it actually put them in a vulnerable place to like receive like some beautiful thing in this like open way, and like people loved it, despite the ear damage later in life. I'm very sorry about that.
It's like they appreciated, made them more receptive and appreciated the ambient more. Where it's like if you just went in with the ambient, then they might like it, but it wouldn't have the kind of release that it had.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I have found the one glitch that I do kind of prefer these episodes where I can record the audio separately with someone in a distance. I've had a couple episodes where I've like recorded in my studio and we're making the glitch art as we talk, and for me it's like those episodes I always still like them, but they always are more difficult for me because it's like, one, I'm focusing on the visuals at the same time as talking, and so it's like kind of hard to do an interview. The other thing is I always have to edit the audio a lot more because of the natural just like ringing of the CRT is so hard to like get out of the audio, because I'm in a pretty small studio here. So it's like all recording on just one microphone, so you will hear no matter how much I edit the audio, you will hear the ringing sometimes on those kind of in-person interviews.
Yeah, I've had some ringing destroy some recordings. I actually did a 12-day live stream for Halloween that was ruined because of I think I can fix it, but I can't post it right now because of line noise in it. But in terms of like, you know, for people with day jobs, I really do think making art that's like, especially digital art, music, video, that's live can be so much more satisfying. And actually my work, I really have just created a constraint for myself where I don't do editing. I'll do mixing, I'll do like mastering, but I never rearrange things.
Okay.
Because of how much I spent in previous years, you know, like going up to 2015, like I spent so much of my musical career like editing stuff in DAWs. I certainly don't have the time for it now. So that's really like being able to work in that way and not have to edit. It's just been really freeing for me. So I don't know if that's possible for you, but
I mean, it makes me want to get back into live stuff. I've done, when I first started this, I tried to do like Twitch streaming, and then ended up going the YouTube route just because it was like it was so much easier than the setup, where it's like every time I got set up for Twitch, I was not like, there's so many things that people don't realize until they try to be a streamer, that like, yeah, it's like you put so much work and money into something and then it just ends up freezing on you. Or just like the audio is all messed up, just so many kind of issues. But there is something like, I don't know, really nice about the live performance. And I do kind of want to get so there's one episode that's going to come out before this one, but the episode before that, I was talking to Taylor Dye, who does a lot of video like VJ work, and talking about their process. And yeah, it is like, I do want to get back into it, because yeah, it is very freeing. And as you said, like with a day job, it's like I feel like I have no days off, because it's like I work and then you know, come home and it's like I'm too tired to work on art, so then I end up working on the show on my days off. But then my days off also, like, although it's like fun because it's what I want to do, it still feels like, ends up feeling like more work, you know.
I know. And when people talk about posting even like live videos, but they do like color grading and like all that stuff, like I have no ability to do that. I've been like I've actually spent a little time researching this in terms of like developing, like how to develop YouTube content. And there actually is a movement towards live streaming, where people or a channel will do like a long live stream that's like a cabaret of things. It includes like an interview, it includes like some entertainment and like whatever else. And then you go back, you leave the live stream up for your like hardcore fans that want like 2 to 3 hours of content, but then you go in and edit and just pull out chunks. And if possible, like if you have multiple guests on and things, you can kind of create narratives out of it after the fact, and then just do intros and like outros. And I'm pretty inspired to do something like that, where it's, you know, you do this like big artistic output, but then you do like kind of minimal curation to suit different types of audiences.
As far as I know, and even I know, like, algorithm growth isn't the goal of making art, you know, but at the same time, it's like that definitely would get you a lot more engagement too, because from what I've read about, like YouTube in general, it's like they encourage like live, like if you want to grow your fan base on YouTube, like go live as much as possible. And so that's interesting that people are like utilizing that as like, like, let's make our videos live and then curate them down. That's really cool.
But I feel like it's live asterisk, because I thought I was gonna, I had the most engagement on my channel for this like 12-day live stream, but I didn't know that YouTube doesn't save your video after 12 hours. So
wow.
I lost a ton of content.
Yeah.
And then something else happens. So any likes that you get for live streams that aren't available, like, don't apply to your channel. So there's like some caveats with like going live, and that's why I think it's important to like extract videos and have shorter things. But anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I hear you about not like catering to the algorithm, and I have to be careful about not doing that. I have like part of my personality is a little bit I don't know, kind of yucky, and so I just have to be on the lookout for shit like that.
I guess what I found too is that, like, because just the work that I make is so niche, it's like I'm trying to like find the audience, you know. And it's I get these artist interviews have been really nice and helpful, because it's like I get an artist's like completely different like perspective, well, not completely different, but a different kind of existential standing, and, you know, a different, completely different art that I make, and kind of hearing other artists' stories, and then also getting to like engage on that level, and building cool just kind of like friendships and art relationships out of that, which is really interesting, which I'm really glad like you reached out on Instagram. It's been Instagram's been super nice with although like I'm not a big fan of the app in general, because it's I never really see the content I want to see. I don't get the engagement that I really want. It has been nice in kind of a lowercase networking of just like with putting out the kind of glitch art that I put out, finding other people who are kind of doing similar things or are on similar kind of aesthetic wavelengths, and so that's how this interview came about.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of your channel and your format. I actually got hooked in. I knew about your Instagram account, but I didn't know about your YouTube. But I got hooked in with that first interview, and then got into some of your other videos. But I think if you continue like doing glitch art and inviting other artists on, and then having music from other artists on, like people will be knocking down your door like all the time, because there really isn't like an avenue like this. Like in a lot of ways, like Bandcamp is like a dead end, and Instagram, especially for like new art, it feels like Instagram is kind of a dead end. Like if you're not like dancing around or like have your face in the shot or doing something that's derivative, I think it's really hard to get noticed. But I have a hypothesis, and I shouldn't say derivative. I mean, there's so many amazing artists on Instagram. Is just like endlessly fascinating if you kind of give it the time, with all the different like creative things that are there. But what's so
kind of derivative in the sense of curating to what people know and what they already like. So like the whole like, which granted I shouldn't talk bad about fan art, because it's like I have a whole show dedicated to glitching Twin Peaks, so it's like that is in a sense like fan art, but just those kind of avenues of like what feels safe or what people think will sell. But go on. What was your theory?
You made the point about like finding your audience, and I kind of had this feeling on YouTube, and I don't know if it could be proved out, but that if you like post enough stuff, they will find an audience for you. Like if they like kind of deem you as like having some kind of value, maybe to the platform or to some segment of people, it's like they kind of like craft an audience. And I don't know, I'm interested to see how this like kind of plays out. But somehow it's not just about like I feel like there's something weird going on there. I don't know. Maybe it's that it's like a dependent arising thing, so it's like kind of like a Buddhist thing where like the one thing can't exist without the other. Like a popular YouTube channel can't exist without the audience, like but I don't know, I kind of wonder, like especially for niche stuff, it kind of feels like if you keep doing it, like you'll do fine. You just have to keep posting stuff. I think even if it'll be interesting to see where it goes, because I'm going to keep doing it as long as it's fun, and I want to get to 100 episodes, and I think this will be episode 47, so we're almost halfway there. Cool.
So anything before we kind of close out? Did we cover everything? Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Other music projects? There's also the question, why quadraphonic? Did we already cover that?
Yeah. I was actually, I didn't know what the format of this was, and I was hoping that we were gonna get to like talk about Solar Babies while it was getting like glitched out. I think you did that a couple times.
I have
just
done that. That's
it's
usually been just like in studio
yeah,
of just like the person like next to me. In the future, I can try to think of a way to do that so that we're not like piecing it together. Like, cause yeah, the way I'm doing it now is like recording the audio and then I'll take the video in and piece it together. But if there is a way to successfully kind of live stream to you while we talk about it, that could be that can definitely be something worked out in the future.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that video. I feel like it's gonna be like a weird trip down memory lane. And I actually some of my interest in glitch actually comes from like watching static and stuff as a kid. You didn't did you have that? Did you have like cable boxes and stuff as a kid?
Yes. So we had basic cable, and then we got basic cable plus, which, so it started out, it only went to like channel 25, and then it went to channel 72 or 43 or something, like not over 100 channels. But yeah, I definitely remember CRT televisions and static, and even the VCR or the TVs that I film off of. One of them is my oldest sister's TV from when her freshman year of college. It was like the TV that she had like in the dorms. It's like a TV VCR combo. And so I definitely do remember static, and it's the same kind of like fascination with it, of that just like random data.
But did you ever try to like watch like undecoded or encoded like pay-per-view movies?
Yes.
And like the Spice Channel?
Yeah, or like HBO, the channels that you didn't get.
I feel like part of my brain actually is able, like, wants to reconstruct narratives from glitched video. And it's just like part of my personality, and
it's really funny you bring that up, because I feel like that was my kind of first introduction to glitch art before glitch art was a thing, was flipping through the channels and then like going to like HBO like late at night when it's all cut up, and then occasionally like a genital or something that you can make out with like pop up on the screen.
What's the softcore porn like HBO series like?
There were so many back in the day.
Yeah, but there was one series that was like, I don't know, something nights or something. I can't remember.
Was it there? I remember there specifically. There was and then there was one where it was like a porn star, but she was like giving like biology lessons and stuff.
I don't even remember. I think I watched most of it scrambled. I just there's something about that like aesthetic to me that, I mean, no wonder that it's like attractive to me, because it's like probably linked with like hormones and shit. But anyway, I just thinking through about like glitch and like wondering like why, like thinking about having this conversation with you like kind of made me go back down like memory lane and like think about where all this shit is like coming from. But you asked a question about why quadraphonic. And I think part of the way that I work with modular synthesizers is like does kind of lean on like the legacy of it, and like one of its legacies that really hasn't like carried forward is quadraphonic music that was originally developed by Don Buchla with the Buchla synthesizers and performed by Suzanne Ciani, and it kind of like lost its it got commercialized in the 70s and late 80s, and like you can get like Dark Side of the Moon on quadraphonic vinyl, and it tends to be like a kind of hi-fi thing. And you can certainly hear things that are quadraphonic in surround systems, but that's like movie audio. But music that's actually composed in quadraphonic is actually very rare.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because like the past year I just decided to make quadraphonic music. I don't know why. I don't remember why. I got to figure that out.
For that kind of surround system, do you need just like 4 speakers, or do you need just like headphones?
Yeah, quadraphonic sound is where you have like a front left, front right, rear left, rear right.
I need to hear Dark Side of the Moon that way.
Yeah, you should. I think
granted, everyone loves that album. Like, it's kind of a cliche to say I love that album, but like I really do love that album, and so and it holds a very special place in my heart. And so yeah, being able to like experience it in that way would be perfect, because there is so many like underlying kind of sounds. And
they built it for surround, and it really was supposed to be the breakout project for it. And I think I've never heard it in quadraphonic, but I'm sure the level of detail that was put into that piece of music, that album, has got to be incredible. And I think those musicians and like others at the time like understood the power of quadraphonic, which I didn't really understand. But when you hear sound played in that way, you actually go inside sound. And so much of music that we hear is about experiencing a sound stage where there's an observer who's in front of a kind of a flat, maybe textured screen.
Mm-hmm.
Or in headphones, you get more depth, but in stereo sound, you're still sitting just back from this like open stage of sound. But in quadraphonic, you actually go inside sound, and so you can be inside like a 3D environment, like a video game or VR, or you could be listening to the parrots in the rainforest or whatever. But then why I think it's so important for electronic music is like you can go in quadraphonic sound, you can be inside a sawtooth oscillator. Like you can be inside like the sounds that like in like the wobbly bass from dubstep, or like sizzling high end in like techno. Like quadraphonic actually allows you to be inside those sounds, and it's not about like, and you certainly can like, you know, they say swirl a sound around speakers, but it's much more immersive than that. And it's immersive in the sound and it's weird to say like the space of sounds. And it's something that's always like, once I kind of figured this out, it really has kind of blown my mind. And I know recently I kind of went back to like making some stereo music, and it kind of lost something for me. So I'm definitely going back there and trying to keep that as a focus. And anyway, I'll just open it there. Sorry, it's kind of a diatribe.
No, that's great. And that brings back to kind of performing live too. Do you have like venues that have like a 4-speaker setup that you can kind of immerse people into?
It's been done in Seattle, and I'm like hopeful to be able to do that at some point. There's a few performers. There's a group, Dahlia, that have performed live, and then there was a show here where they adapted like stereo music for quadraphonic. I was actually at that show called Wavelength, and that was really nice. But it's pretty rare, and I think it's rare to find people that are composing in quadraphonic and then finding quadraphonic studios. So we'll see if it takes off or not. There's some ability to hear quadraphonic music through like Apple Spatial, like through the Apple AirPods and stuff. It
is the Dolby Atmos kind of related to that, or is that something different?
Yeah, like Dolby Atmos is like spatial sound on steroids.
Okay.
And I have some opinions about that maybe I haven't used that system. It adds quite a bit of more work to make something in surround. And it's so much easier for me to spatialize things in quadraphonic that I'm just doing that right now.
Yeah.
And actually one of the things that like I'm hoping to do with quadraphonic sound is like link the motion of quadraphonic sound to visuals, like glitch visuals.
Yeah.
Because our perception of sound in space is reinforced by what we see. And if you don't, it's often so difficult to convey spatial sound through headphones or even great speaker systems, because the sound isn't tuned for the room or the sound isn't tuned for the person's ears, etc. But having a visual reinforcement actually gives you a deeper experience of the sound. And that's why like Billie Eilish released a song for the James Bond movie or something, or for the premiere of the Apple spatial music, and you see all these visual cues in the video. You see her singing inside of a light ring where there's light moving around her with her voice. And so that like gives you a deeper experience of spatial sound. Anyway, so that's something I'm thinking about doing, and I think could provide like a really rich, experience for the listener.
Sorry, my cat just jumped up on. This is Prometheus.
Prometheus, nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have not experienced. I've experienced. Like, I don't have the headphones that have experience. Okay, sorry, buddy.
Bye, Prometheus. It was nice to meet you.
It's like he's so cute, but it's like I don't want too much purring picking up on the mic. But I don't know. I don't have AirPods, so it's like I haven't experienced the full. I had Apple Music for a while, but I feel like I didn't get everything out of it that I could have with not having great headphones. But it's something that I'm very interested in like experiencing in the future.
It's tricky. I'm still working on it. I mean, truth be told, I'm planning on remastering the Night album, the Night EP, because there's some problems where the spatial mix sounds good, but when you listen to it in stereo, it sounds really bad.
Interesting.
And I have to go in and like correct that. So it's kind of a challenge to deal with and to do like properly with the commodity spatial headsets and headphones. Does require Atmos. I'm using a free plugin called Quark by Cykik, CYKIK, and the plugin is QUARK. It's really great, and like it's a really easy way to encode quadraphonic sound to stereo so that it can be replayed in quadraphonic in Atmos enabled systems, but also any Dolby 2 enabled system. I think it's definitely the way to go for sound, because it's cheap and it works, and the decode works almost everywhere. But it's still, I think it's still early days for that stuff, and it's certainly early days for me, and I'm definitely working on figuring it out. So
totally. Is there anything else you want to touch on or talk about before we close out the show?
I don't think so. I don't know. I think we talked about a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
I still want to talk about solar babies, but I think I want to see the video first.
Okay, we can have you back on if you want to. talk about it.
It's all good. I think I'm just excited to see it.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular that like, or just like you need to rewatch it to like revisit it as far as like you wanted to touch on about Solar Babies?
No, I think I just need, I think I just want to like see it and like relive that like experience. It's so fun. It's so funny that I watched that movie over and over and over because it was one of the only video movies that like replayed all the time on HBO when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I just forgot about its impact on me. But yeah, in terms of other stuff, I think we've covered a lot of ground tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a really fun episode. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.